Hello, 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 everybody. So wonderful to see everybody. I'm gonna wait while everybody's coming in here. A few more people, or we have more people in the waiting room.
I love seeing all their faces pop up.
I know.
I like the gallery view to start. It's like, whoa, look at all those peeps.
It is really nice. So thanks everybody for your flexibility. We just couldn't sort of imagine going forward as usual 2 weeks ago when so many of our homes and our schools and our districts and our areas and our communities and our families were impacted by the fires. And so thank you for flexibility. We know for sure not everybody's going to be able to make it today, but that is okay. We wanted to go ahead and get this content out to everybody anyway, and we're going to record it and we're going to post it on our website. So my name is Michelle Markle, and I'm the technical assistance provider that works in Multnomah, Clackamas, Hood River, and North Wasco counties. And today I am joined by Josh Barbour, Transition Network Facilitator in the Eugene region. Josh, which specific counties do you cover? I should know that, but I don't.
I'm in Lynn, Benton, Lincoln, and Lane.
There we go. All right. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about ways to connect with students remotely through some specific strategies. And I have a couple of announcements. Of course, the rest of your TAPs are here too. I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves as well, just to say hello and be a connection as the school year begins.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mary Jo Erickson, and I have the South region for YTP, and happy you're all here. Welcome. I've got a couple new people that came on. They're new transition specialists, and I haven't looked at everybody's faces to see if they're here, but we welcome Lori and Tia also.
Hey
Hi,
everyone.
I'm Garrett, and I'm working with the Northwest region of YTP. Go ahead, Jesse.
All right, Garrett and I spoke at the same time. Jesse Berkey, my region's the Mid-Willamette Valley from Lane County up through Woodburn. And like Mary Jo, there's many new faces on here, so welcome. It's good to see you. We look forward to connecting. This is fun to be together now that school has started, even if it's remotely. So it's good to see you all again.
And hi, I'm Terry Falkenstern. I'm technical assistance for Central and Eastern Oregon. And yes, it's good to be here and see everybody and to have clean air.
Yeah.
Central Oregon loves Terry. Woo!
Everybody loves Terry. Okay, so chat, we are going to use chat today. Mary Jo's monitoring, so if you have questions or comments, please go ahead and put those in the chat. Questions are welcome throughout this session. And I wanted to also remind you that we have regionals coming up, so hopefully everybody is registered for a session of regionals. And if you're not or haven't received that registration link, reach out to your TAP. And then we also have a community practice as scheduled on Tuesday, October 12th, 2 to 3 o'clock. And that one's about PREETs and PREETs resources. So hopefully.
That's a Monday, by the way. It's Monday the 12th.
Did I say Tuesday?
You did.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
So always that second Monday of the month.
Yes.
So you guys remember, and the information is always in the YTP, on the YTP website.
All right, so we are gonna dive in today. And the one thing that kind of got us thinking about this a little bit was, like, this is a little bit off topic and strange, but I don't watch sports ever, but I do watch the 30 for 30. Have you ever seen those 30 for 30 documentaries? They're like really engaging, and you get to know these athletes and feel very connected, and it makes you sort of want to watch a sport if you've never watched a sport before. And so I was reading about how sports being remote right now are taking this approach of really diving into athlete profiles. And so they're kind of helping the viewing audience get to know athletes by just going deeper into their personal lives and their interests, and to kind of keep interest on the field and on the sport. And I think that that can translate into our work. So we're all trying to figure out, how do we connect virtually. It's just so unnatural for a lot of us. And so
Mhm.
this idea today about just connecting virtually in ways using the student really and their interests and strengths as the content is a way to connect and to bond with a student that's safe and structured and actually yields awesome outcomes. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start with Josh's content. Josh, are you able to share your screen? Do I need to give you rights?
It looks like I am able to share my screen. So I'm going to, can I start sharing now?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. All right. It looks like I can't make it into presenter mode. I'm going to just turn off the share and try it one more time if that's okay. Actually, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then you get a preview of what's ahead. So thank you for having me on. And Michelle, I love those 30 for 30s. They're great.
They are
So,
fun.
and I totally can see how this translates into what we're doing. My name is Josh Barbour, and like Michelle introduced me, I'm a Transition Network Facilitator in Lynn, Benton, Lincoln, and Lane County. I've been a Transition Network Facilitator for a few years. Prior to me taking on the role of a TNF, I was a transition teacher in Eugene for 11 years, and I worked with Terry and Mary Jo pretty closely. In the program I worked in was called Connections, and what we did in Connections is we did what we called an advocate model. So we served students who are 18 to 21. Most of them graduated from high school on modified diplomas. Some of them were working towards their GED. What would happen since there's 4 high schools in Eugene at the time, if Mary Jo and Terry were a YT working with a student in, like, let's say Mary Jo is working with somebody in South Eugene High School and that student had a modified diploma, Mary Jo would follow that student to Connections and still remain as the YTP specialist for that student. So it was a really great partnership. In the transition program that we work in, we would have classes, we would have activities, we would have work experience, but we would also meet with each student one-on-one in an advocate session, what we called an advocate session. So that was time that the student worked one-on-one with us and somebody from our staff, and we would work on problem solving or budgeting or connecting to agencies or filling out application. It was really student driven. So, and please, if you have any questions, please, I don't mind being interrupted after being a teacher for a long time. It always feels weird not to be interrupted. So please, any question you have, please, I will stop at any time and answer them. When I did my advocate sessions, what I wanted students to do was to set a goal. And usually when I worked with a student, we set a goal for a term, so 3 months. And because we operated on a fall, winter, and spring term. And so I developed this form. And what we would have is we would have a long-term goal that they would have in 3 months. And then we would set smaller goals that we would call enabling goals. And those smaller goals were to help get to that longer term goal. And it didn't have to be a 3-month goal. It could be a year-long goal. But we taught, and every week when I would meet with a student, I would write down the date and what action they did during the week that helped get them to reach their mini goal. So for example, let's say a student was attending a class at community college, which often happened. And the student's goal was to pass Math 65. And so a mini goal would be to show up to class or to get their homework done or visit the Math Resource Center at the community college. And so when we had our advocates, we would write down what actions they took towards that week. And then they would see progress. And it was great because I felt good because I felt like I was doing something helpful. They felt good because they saw the progress that they were making towards that goal. And their attendance for this was great because they were just getting they were getting all this positive reinforcement for doing working towards their goals. And the goals were very individualized. So the problem happened, though, what I started to realize is that I owned the paper. This paper that you saw there sat in a notebook in my office. And what I was afraid of is that the only time that they were looking at their longer term goals and their quote enabling goals, or whatever we wanted to call them, was that hour that they were hanging out with me where we were talking about it. And so I was kind of worried that it was out of sight, out of mind. They would leave my office, go about their day, and weren't thinking about them. And transition, in my mind, shouldn't just happen in the classroom, right? Transition is it was so rewarding to me to be a transition teacher or work with students that were 18 to 21, because you're not just doing an 8 to 4 school day. It's their whole life that you're helping them towards. And I wanted to help, hopefully, I wanted to motivate them to think about their goals after they left the room. So then, we started talking about having this electronically. So having it on a computer. And that way it wasn't, their progress wasn't in a notebook that was just in my office. Their progress is in something that they can access all the time. So what we started looking at is electronic portfolios, and it provides a tool for both the student and the teacher to have an access record of progress. It puts the ownership. I didn't own the document anymore, it was theirs. And they owned it, not me, which was really important to me, because not only did I not want to own it, I wanted them to have something that they could take with them after they leave. Because transition, like, there's no truancy, there's no grades in transition. They could leave whenever they wanted. They didn't have to finish out the 2 or 3 years that they were with me. But I wanted something that they could take with them. They allow students to easily access important information when meeting with their providers. So Mary Jo and Terry was at Churchill High School, Mary Jo was at South Eugene High School. They weren't with me all the time, but if the student was meeting with them, they could use it as a tool. And then we also started using it to direct their own IEP meetings, which was great, because that just, the IEP meeting became a celebration and something really positive, instead of something that the student was maybe not as excited about. So I'm sure there's a ton of platforms out there. I am certainly not a technology expert. The 3 platforms that I used, and I didn't do this, like, I worked in Connections for 11 years. I would say it was the last 2 years that I was there that I really started utilizing this. So our school, which was 4J, Eugene 4J School District, had a WordPress site license. So every student there could make a WordPress website, and we were using that to build an e-portfolio. We also used Google Sites, which was free and great, because all you need is a Google account to do it. And then we started working with a small software company in Eugene called Cognitopia. And we started using the platform they developed, which was great because it was very, like, paint by numbers. It was easy for the students to put in. So we used all 3. I think all 3 were great. And all 3 students were able to facilitate their own IEP meeting. And as a teacher, that's what I was really, that was what I was working towards.
Josh,
Yes.
I think you've perfected it so much more after I left South. But I remember we started trying to use WordPress and having our kids do all that stuff, so that when then they went to the 18 to 21 program, they had all that stuff to show you too. So even getting it started before they go to the 18 to 21 program, I think, is really beneficial.
Yes, and I can think of a few students that had that coming from South, and that was great, because then I didn't recreate anything. We just used what they already had and added our own tabs. And so right here, thanks for saying that, Mary Jo. And I can't see the chat, so if anything comes up in the chat, just please interrupt.
Mary Jo's monitoring that. She'll let you
Okay.
know.
Yep.
Thanks. What I was worried about when I first started doing this is I really liked this form that I made. Like I was tied to it. But then I realized that this is on a student's I think this is a Google site, and I crossed out his name. That's why it looks kind of sloppy with my awesome graphic design skills. But what I did is I could just cut and paste that form I was using onto the Google site. So it's not like I lost it. I'm just using it online. And as you can say, here's this goal. And in this case, we used an IEP goal or an annual IEP goal, sorry. And then we just would monitor progress every week. And so the advantages of doing something like this is that the student has ownership of document. It can be utilized outside of class, could be used on a smartphone. It's never going to be lost because it's virtual. It can be shared with teams and parents so the parents know what's going on. If you have a parent that could be a little bit challenging, it's a good thing to share with them, and then they can see the progress. And then everything can be customized to appeal to the student. And then the thing I was worried about was security. So all three examples that I'm familiar with are secure, are password protected. Student really has control of who he or she wants to share with. And so what are the things that we looked at sharing? And so the examples on the side are posts, and the posts don't all have to look the same, by the way. So the post can be pictures, it could be video, it could be words, it could be like a audio, like a podcast. It could be anything. It really is customized based on what your student is comfortable with. Some students don't want their pictures taken or any video, and that's fine. They never have to. So, but we want to document preferences, interests, needs, and strengths, okay? Because that is your transition assessment. This could be used as an informal transition assessment to generate that. I'm a big goal setter. I know not everyone is, but goals are really important to me. And so I would have them track goals and then track their progress. And what I found that does is that when students see that they're making progress, that's going to increase motivation and get them coming back. And as a transition teacher, where school kind of gets into that optional stage, that was really important for motivation. Share their experience. They do a work site. What are they getting out of that work site? What do they learn about their preferences, interests, needs, and strengths that we can move to VR? And then their accommodations. And one of the things that feedback I have is a couple of years ago, most of you might know Chris Rita, who's another TNF. She and I were giving a presentation to college accommodation specialists, and we suddenly became the face of ODE, which neither of us wanted to be the face of ODE. And it was a hard presentation because they were saying how students are coming and they don't know what accommodations they had in high school, and they don't know how to use them, and they don't know the difference between an accommodation and a modification. And so that conversation made me think students really need to know what accommodations they're getting in school and what accommodations they might be eligible for when they go to work or go to college, and they need to be able to advocate for themselves for that. Okay, because the roles and responsibilities change when they leave the K through 21 school system. So if all that is documented on something like an e-portfolio, the student doesn't have to memorize it. It's on a document that they can access via their smartphone to get that. So we talked a little bit about informal transition assessments. Okay, but the thing I like about it, it's self-directed. It's using the student's voice. It's going to be pictures. It could be videos. Okay, and this could be shared with anyone. And the idea here, and the example I gave is okay, if someone had the idea that they wanted to be a diesel mechanic, they did a job shadow, and then they wrote a little blurb about what they thought. And this could be used as a gateway to pursue that, or they can go and they can say, nah, that wasn't really what I expected. I need to do something else. So we're going to just share an example, and I have permission to share this. This is how it was used and how we used to use it as an IEP meeting. And so this is the IEP meeting. You have the student right here in the center. He has a computer. The computer's hooked up to a projector, and his team is sitting around the table while the student facilitates the IEP meeting. And when we first started doing this, we were worried that this was going to take a lot of practice for the student, and it didn't. Students were really good about navigating their e-portfolio, and we just gave them this agenda, and they were able to follow the agenda and facilitate their IEP. So at the table, we have the student, we have his teacher, we have a connection staff. He had two job developers. Here's his main job developer, and then his the head of his boss, the job developer's boss, is right here. There I am. The YTP specialist is here. His mom. We're all at the table while the student presented. And so I think the trick for this is that we don't want it to be a lecture by the student. We want to make sure that the job developer and the teacher and the parent and the YTP specialists, who all have valuable information for the team, are able to share what's going well, what's not going well. And so how we did this to make sure that everybody had a word is that when he presented, I would put a prompt in that say, what do you think of my strengths? Or what do you think of my goals? So people could, so that would remind him to ask his team to share. And what started happening is that these IEP meetings became a celebration. And I remember my last year there, we had a student, a school staff that he doesn't see very much came in and said hi to the student. Hi, student's name, I'm here for your IEP. And the student looked at him and said, I know, I've been looking forward to this all week. And I just about fell over, because who has ever said they're looking forward to an IEP? But the student was really excited to show a video that he made that showed his interest at the IEP. So he was really excited to show it. So it was great. So this student who had the IEP meeting, this is what he shared for strengths, okay? And I just highlighted that I'm a great cook and follow recipes well. So we have a picture of him cooking, and he has all the strengths, but I just pulled out the piece where he says I'm a great cook, because when we're writing IEPs, we're really looking for through lines and things that connect to make sure that the transition assessment matches what the goals are. For his preference, he talked about how he liked using videos to use new skills, and he used videos for cooking, school, store, and the math that we were using to learn skills. So that is how he's sharing, okay, if I go into a job, using a video to teach me what I have to do in the job is going to be effective. And that's good for the VR counselor to hear, that's good for the job developer to hear, because that might help shorten the length of the job coaching that needs to happen. So we also had videos of his learning style. So I don't know if Jana's on the call, but Jana would make him videos on how to chop that he could follow. And then we were able to store those videos on his e-portfolio. So when he was practicing, he would watch those videos and and we would take videos of himself doing it. And that way we could send it to the job developer, and the job developer would see his rate of speed and how he was holding his knife and all those important things that he would need to do to make him marketable in the food industry. So his post-school goal was to work in a food truck. You know, that was great. We kind of broadened that to work in the restaurant business in general. And that allowed us, Jana and I, to work together to think of job shadows. And I remember Jana set up a job shadow for him to visit a food truck in Eugene. And he also did a job shadow at a coffee cart. Our transition program didn't have a work site around food, so we created one where we bought food, and he catered another site. So he would go in at a different time, and he would make food for the people working at the site. and we would take pictures of it, and we would also connect with his job developer that he was working with to show him what he was doing. Okay. And so all these services were centered around his goal of being food, but after assessment, we knew that sometimes he would rush through stuff, and he would not he would not do things to what we called supervisor's criteria. So what we said was we wrote a goal about taking his time and making sure that he understood the supervisor's criteria and was able to meet it. And so annual IEP goals are written in a very teacher language, as I would call them. Okay, I don't always know how well that translates to a student. So what I would do is I would have students write their IEP in their or annual IEP goals in their own words. So he would say, I had this IEP goal with teacher language about meeting supervisor criteria, and he would say, in my own words, what that means, take my lovely time and do good work. Great, I'll take that. And then we would have him just write every once in a while how he was doing progressing that goal, making progress towards that goal. And what that would do is that would keep that goal in his mind. And it wouldn't be something that just happened once a year. It would be happening what he would be working for. And what was happening in the class is that he would not only know his own goal, but the kids, or the students, sorry, knew everybody else's goal and what they were working towards as well, and that built the community. So I really thought that was great.
Hey, Josh.
Yes.
I would say too, I mean, I know a lot of people, you know, we work with kids that are in the 18 to 21 program, but a lot of the transition specialists are also working with kids who get regular diplomas. So this can be done when you're in, you know, even if they're not going to an 18 to 21 program. So I just want to get that into people's heads that this can easily be done in a learning center class or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and anything where you want the students to document what they're doing and how they can see a through line on how what they're doing is helping them get to their longer goal, I think that's really helpful, and it makes it really tangible. So we had him. Again, you can have your support team and all their contact information and what they do on there as well. And that way you never lose a phone number and you always know how to contact somebody. So in the chat, you saw the student's name is Kyle, and to end his story, which I almost forgot about, he's now working ended up moving to Florida, and he's working at a Cracker Barrel restaurant there, and he's super happy. So that's I was thrilled when I heard that. But in the chat, which I can't see, think about the pre-eds. And what pre-eds, if you're helping a student facilitating this, what pre-eds can you document from somebody doing, going through the process of making an e-portfolio?
Yeah, nothing in the chats. Did you want them to write stuff in there,
Yeah,
Josh?
if they write something, if you think about, or you know what, I feel like I said I was going to take a half hour and I'm taking longer, so I'll just keep moving forward.
Maybe people could yell popcorn out some or
Yeah,
something
popcorn
too.
out. What pre-eds did you see?
Self-advocacy.
Yes. Okay, and I think that's the biggest one, right? Because, and what I saw happen is they would get students that had their e-portfolio. What would they, when they showed it to people at IEP meetings, and then we would do like this welcome to connections night where we would have students talk about our program and they would show their e-portfolio. And what would happen is that they wouldn't just see the slide, they would see the picture of what they did, and they would be able to elaborate and give so much information on it. And I always felt like I worked on them with the students, and I always felt like I knew a lot about them, but every time they shared it, I learned something so much more, which helped me get to know the students even better and build that relationship. So Kyle, the student I shared, you know, that's like level 10, right? He was working on that e-portfolio for a long time. He had it. So the question is, how do you get started? And the way I would get started with students is I would just have them identify their preferences, interests, needs, or strengths. So I might be working with a group And I would say something like, what'd you do this weekend? Okay. And so Mary Jo, what did you do this weekend, over the weekend? Oh, you're muted.
I did a lot of reading. I took some long walks, and yeah, that was about it. It was a great weekend.
So that sounds like very relaxing, and it's nice. The weather was so great to be able to do that. It feels great that there's not as much smoke. Was that a preferences, interests, needs, or strengths that you just described?
A lot of it was a need. I just wanted some time to myself and wanted to get some exercise too. So that need of getting exercise was met.
Perfect. And so what I would do from there, right? She has her first post, exercise. She said it. I didn't say it. She came up with that. And she wants to put in the needs category, which I completely agree with, right? So she can start posting, and instead of writing words, she can just find pictures of exercises that she likes, or athletes that she likes, or books that she read, or a trail map of the walk that she went on. And I would just have them post that, and that gets them started. And that, my experience is that students like that, because it's like giving them permission to look at the video games and find and post pictures that they like, or whatever they want to do. It hits their interest. So what happens is you get a couple posts like that, you start getting a picture of who the student is. And it can be pictures on the internet. It doesn't have to be of them. Okay, so the pictures on the side is from my portfolio. And I wrote, I enjoy mountain biking, and I'm in a face melting rock band. Okay, so I play guitar, that's me playing guitar. And we were lucky enough to open for my son's band a couple of years ago in this place in Cottage Grove called the Axe and Fiddle. And it was thrilling. So if you're looking at students with these two pictures, I enjoy mountain biking and I'm in a face melting rock band, can anybody see any common theme in those two slides? Is there any common theme there?
They're with friends.
Yes. Okay, I don't have a picture by myself. The pictures I chose, and this was not done consciously. I just picked these two pictures. But interesting, they're with my friends. Okay. Any other theme that you see?
I'm getting a couple things here: social, outgoing, adventurous.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. So what can these themes that you're seeing here of me, can you think of how that could be transferable to the work site or a job?
Anybody? Throw it out there.
Working in groups, Josh?
Yeah, I much prefer, and that's all true. And again, like I just picked these two and I was like, wow,
Okay, Mark.
I'm with people. I've always preferred working in groups, and I've always been more productive when working in a group than working by myself. Like by myself, I'm not as effective. So when I'm looking for a job, I need to find one that I get to be around people. And someone else said active.
Yep.
Yeah, and I need to be someplace. I'm not going to be happy sit in an office. I'm going to need something where I'm able to move around. So nice. You like what I think when you get students that are able to post this stuff, if you can find the themes, I think that and like use the formal assessment, use like ONET and CIS or in what you're using, but finding a theme in what they're posting might help you narrow that job search or
huge.
narrow that exploratory piece.
And Josh, a lot of the people, I just want to acknowledge what they put. They wrote it and then you said it. So it was great. With teamwork, flexible, like to be around people, social skills, all those things. So everybody's, it's great.
So I know I said before that, I'd like something that they use outside of class, right? But bringing into more realistic, they might not post outside of class, which is fine. So I would build it into class. Like after they're done with the work experience, I don't have to do it every day, but every week or every other week, I would say, okay, we're going to end this work experience and here's 5 minutes. Post what you think, post what happened. And so you're building time into the activity so students have time to do it so they don't have to do it outside of class, because it's not going to necessarily happen right away if you ask them to do outside of class. And here's a way that this is maybe when I first started doing this, I had a student who was just starting his VR process, who was just starting an intake, right? And when he signed the release of information, the VR counselor he experienced, this is a student that experienced a lot of mental health barriers. And so this VR counselor connected with his provider, and the provider shared like the mental health struggles that he's had in the past. So the VR counselor emailed me and she's like, hey, I just got his file. What do you think? How's he doing? And I remember getting that email and being so excited that, like, I got the email at night. I remember having trouble going to sleep because I was so excited to write this email sharing his e-portfolio with his permission, because on his e-portfolio, I had him set goals for the worksite. And his goal was, I'm going to just rate my happiness at the end of each worksite. But at the time when he set that goal, I was like, really? Can't we think of a better goal? But then after he rated his happiness, and he was happy at the end of each work site. So I had like a month of data of him rating himself as happy that I shared with the VR counselor. And I was like, hey, here's how he's doing. This is his own words, not mine. Let's go, like, let's start. And we did. So it felt like being able to share the student's own voice and not having, the VR counselor didn't have to take my word for it. I thought it was really helpful to start the process. And then again, encouraging to share. Okay, and we already talked about that, but this is the student's voice. And so if you have an IEP meeting, not everybody's comfortable with facilitating their own IEP, that's fine. You have the e-portfolio, which is in the student's own voice, even if it's just pictures, so the student's a part of it. Okay, and then for more information, next time, next COP, we're going to share our Oregon Transition Educators Resource website. There's some information, guidance regarding online meetings on there. We also have on the Oregon Transition podcast, which is season 1, episode 5, the self-advocacy piece. We have some audio from a self-directed IEP that's on there that you can listen to. And then one of the teachers, or one of the autism specialists in 4J provides a blog of transition portfolios, and there's guidance on creating electronic portfolios for students, and the website features tips and templates for student profiles or student portfolios. And feel free to reach out to me for any questions. And look at this, another post where I'm not by myself, I'm with my people. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. I would love to talk to you about this if that would be helpful.
Great. Yeah, we don't have any other. Oh, what platform do you suggest for e-portfolios? I know you mentioned 3, just curious which you found to be the best.
When I was working, I had the most success with Cognitopia, because it was very, like I said, paint by numbers. But I think all 3 are effective.
Is that something, Josh, that is it expensive? Is that available to all transition specialists? What does that look like?
So I don't know the details about that. I know that they have a free trial. So I think that trying the free trial out to see if it's something that would work would be helpful. I also believe, so I don't really know. I know that they're VR vendors in some areas. I don't know if that means they're statewide VR vendors. So, but I would be happy to connect you or provides their contact information, their website.
Okay, that'd be great.
So I'll put that,
Awesome.
when I stop my share, I'll put their information in the chat.
And another, you know, with your trying to get to the Transition Network website, what is that real quick?
Okay, what I'll do is I'll put that website information in the chat,
Okay.
and
Oh.
can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a website that the TNFs created. It provides resources on employment, and all these are clickable links, and it also provides full lesson plans. And then the pre-eds team made one that is specifically on pre-eds.
Josh, we still see your PowerPoint.
Oh, you're still seeing my PowerPoint. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And somebody asked in here, Francis asked, thank you for this person-centered planning. Can we use these tools? Will this PowerPoint be posted? Yes, the PowerPoint like posted, and this is being recorded, so you can get it on our YouTube on the YTP website.
So if you could see my screen now, this is our website, and here's our guidance for online meetings. So that IEP agenda template that I showed you is right here on this link. Click it and you can download it into Microsoft Word. There's also, if you're having trouble with the whole e-portfolio thing, there's also a student-led IEP PowerPoint template, which is very like paint by numbers each slide to put in student strength. That's also something that you can use. So,
Awesome.
or
Awesome.
something that you can help develop. So and I'll put I know next time, I think Sarah Statham is going to go into more in-depth of the website. So I'll put the website address in the chat, and I'll also put the pre-eds website address in the chat as well, because there's a website that the pre-eds team has made that's very similar to this, but it just focuses on pre-eds.
Yeah, Becky Hancock says that one of her adult transition teachers uses Cognitopia and loves it. So that's
fantastic.
a great testimony. Yeah. Thanks, Becky.
All right.
All right.
Josh, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I can't second how, like, having student-led IEPs, student voice, it is the best. It turns what could be a real downer of a meeting into something so strength-based and something to celebrate. And I've seen parents cry and be like, this is the first time I've ever been to a meeting where you're talking about what my child can do, and students feel pride. And I mean, so of course I can't speak highly enough of these things. In our time remaining, I wanted to just share really quickly a preview of how to use the Google Sites, because it's free. And so I figured that's the one that I would show. And also because I really love Google a whole lot. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do like Josh did and have the preview there, because I guess we can't drive when we have it in preview mode. Okay, so Google Student Profiles, a versatile way to connect with students. I put these slides on here, and I'm going to give you a preview, but these will live on the website if you want to refer back to them. So you just go into sites.google.com in your browser, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. And I think I'm going to try here. You're going to come to this page, and up here on top, you have templates that you can choose from, and then down on the bottom are your own sites that you're working on. And what we're going to preview today is the student portfolio site. When you click on that, it will bring you to this page, and it's pre-filled for you. You can edit it, so many ways, but at the very start, it has it already is really pre-filled for you in many ways. And again, remember, you're not doing this, you want the student to do it. So you might want to get on there and play around so that you can help and coach and guide them, but ultimately we want the student creating their own site. When you scroll down on the page, again, I'll show you this, you continue to build your page out bigger with more content. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick preview here. I am going to share a new page. Okay, so you can see my blank website here. I'm just going to go to sites.google.com, see how easy that was. I'm logged in to my work Gmail. If you're somebody who uses Gmail quite a bit, it's good to make sure you're using your work account. And I'm going to open this student portfolio that I started working on just to show and share with you guys how easy and intuitive it is. Okay, so when you come here, you're in preview mode. Publish is what will make it live. And this little icon is how you preview what it looks like on the website when you're not in edit mode. And I'll show you both of those in just a second. But this is really intuitive. You're able to go in here and type in a student's name where they type in their own name. You can click and drag an image up here. About me. Lots of lessons you can see could be done here. And this is a way for you to really bond and get to know a student in a structured way that's kind of a little bit safer than just having like a conversation staring at each other's faces in a Zoom meeting. And I hope everybody can see, you know, when you're looking at this achievements, strengths, goals, I filled these in with things that I made up. But again, this is everything that Josh talked about, any assignments your teachers are doing, goals that are in the IEP that you can help bridge to the IPE. That's a big part of what YTP does. All of these things can be built in there. And the more that the student owns the language and owns the content, the better, because it sticks in their heads and they're able to speak with confidence and self-advocacy about their own awesomeness and their own needs. So I just put this down here as a reminder. This could be an online resume. Those are really common nowadays. This could go into a whole unit of building a LinkedIn profile or something like that. This could be a format for a person-centered plan. I know that there are trainings available for that if people are interested in getting trained on how to do and run person-centered plans. It could be an ongoing journaling assignment. It can be a platform for what's learned in job clubs, certain classes, different things like that. And it can also be a presentation in a student-led IEP. So again, there's a lot of ways this could be used, and kind of the sky's the limit. Over here, these are all of your very intuitive things. If we want to insert a text box, there, it comes right here for you. You can drag and drop it around. You can type in it. You can insert images directly from your desktop or by URL, or you can do a Google search. So you can select by URL, by Google image search, by your own photos. So it's very, very intuitive to use and play around with. You can undo anything you've done. So if you mess up, look, oh, I don't want those words there. I don't want that text box there. It's gone. You can embed entire websites right here. You can see these 3 boxes. That's this layout right here. You can choose different layouts to use and play with them. So let's pretend I want to put something like this in. And then I can add images, I can add text, I can add a video from YouTube, a calendar. It's just very, very intuitive to use. And then you can make pages. So pages match your table of contents: classes, activities, important contacts. So activities could be, I'm in a robotics club, I'm in band, I'm in job club, and here's my internship. You could have images of these things that are highlighting, just like Josh talked about, like what your preferences are. So it's image-based data. Data doesn't always have to be numbers. Data doesn't always have to be words. It can also be images. And I think that's something that's just really awesome about the era that we live in. It's inspiring. important contacts. So this is a place, because the student owns this forever and ever, they can keep your transition specialist contact info. It's probably in their phone too, but anyway, just put, you know, important contacts here. You can also make this Google site an icon on the homepage of your phone. And so all of those things are possibilities.
This is great. This is great. It reminds me, I used to have kids do a keynote presentation. It was really easy to use. Can you show me one more time how you do it before we get off, like a quick recap? Because it's so user-friendly. Kids will just nail this.
So can you see my new page now? Do you see the blank one?
I see your favorites, your
Oh yeah, okay. So sites, templates. If we were going to start a new one, a blank one, we would click on the student portfolio.
Okay, so you go to sites.
And then here, we're going to go with Terry's learning journey, right? This is going to be Terry Falkenstern. Gosh, please tell me I've spelled your name right.
Yep.
About me. I juggle. I bike. I love life. What else about you, Terry? These are your words.
Okay. That's good.
So you just, you know what I mean? And then you get in here and sort of play around. And when I was learning these things, I just always create like fake sites, play, and then delete them. And they are that easy just to play around in. And then, so I wanted to show you up here too, if you want to preview what it looks like when it's not in edit mode, you hit this little icon, then you can see what it looks like on a phone or a device, a tablet turned sideways, or a desktop. And click out of that and go back to edit mode. This is where your privacy settings are, just like in all the Google stuff. You can make it public. You can make sure it's shared only with people who have the link, all of those sorts of things. You can't actually see this right now because it's not published. You have to publish it first before you can change the share editings. And then there's a bunch of settings on here about brand images, like when we TTAN creates their websites, they're going to put a TTAN thing on there. If YTP were using this, we could put a YTP logo on every page. You could do a school logo if you wanted to. Just lots of things in here to play around with too, but we won't get too far into. But again, you can play and then erase, so it's really pretty risk-free. So right now, I just wanted to offer a few reminders. The reminder is you don't have to be the expert. Let the student experiment and play with their own profile, and then share it with you, extract that information, celebrate it, guide them on ways to use it and what to include. Students learn about themselves, and so do we, and they learn a technical skill if they don't know it already, because they might already know all of this stuff. And then, you know, when the student is the content, engagement increases and you bond with them in a safe and structured way. And so here's my little contact info. If you guys want to contact me, I'm happy to help you with any of this. Now, Josh, what does it say about me that I put my dog's photo on here?
Not your family.
Not my
Michelle,
family.
This is, I can see, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, a lot of people just have their contact with students. It might just be a one-on-one Zoom or something like that. They don't have access to a whole classroom, but this would be really easy to do just one-on-one with a student and walk them through it. Trying to think of ways to do it, do things virtually.
It'd be neat, like for a, you know, with a heads up, so you're setting everybody up for success, but for a student to bring this info to the VRC and say, here's, you know, in prep for my IPE, here are all the things, you know, that you should know about me or whatever. And I love Josh's student voice thing. Instead of meet standard time industry goal, I'll take my lovely time and do a good job. Like, that's perfect. Just make it the student's voice. And yeah, it's really fun. Are there any questions?
On the chat, I'm just getting super COP today. Yes, this is great stuff. I'm excited to play around with it. This is awesome. That's so cool. So people are loving it.
Yay, it's so fun to be reconnected. That was a long, smoky, lonely summer without you all. No, I'm just kidding.
I think so much of it is, everybody's you're all in such different situations in
Mhm.
your schools because every school seems to be operating a little differently. And, for you to plug in one of these and bring it to your teachers, bring it to your SPED teachers and say, hey, what about this? Let's do this, and get them excited about it. And, can I have an hour once a week and I can do this with kids, trying to figure out ways that you can
Mhm.
connect with groups and with your SPED team. So important, because
Yeah.
this is going to benefit everybody. And then, we do have a couple VRCs on here. It's going to help them in the long run too.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote, I really needed this uplift. That's great to hear.
Yay. Good.
We can find the template on the YTP website. No, that you just go to Google, don't you, Michelle?
Mm-hmm. So the template is just on sites.google.com. If anybody types that in and you're logged into a Google account, the templates come up and you just click a template and go from there.
Okay. Great way to make, Judy says, great way to make engage students and help transition, be an individual. I really need, let's see. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think we got all the things. Very good. Love this. Very helpful. So you could use this in a lot of different ways. I mean, Carol just typed on there too. I saw, looking at it for job development, you could chat and do a separate one. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind
Oh,
goes
I
all
love
over
the
the
way
place.
I think about the unique position YTP transition specialists are in, where you want to give information to the teacher to use in an IEP and in their curriculum and be hands-on a part of it. Same with your VRC. So this is a fun way to sort of bring things together too, without saying like, I need to bring things together. You just sort of do it and bring it together, and then it's happening really naturally, sort of in a way that's not forced.
And that's what I
Students
think
to
a
ask
lot
for
of,
accommodations. Go
a
ahead, Mary
lot
Jo.
of people, I was just going to say a lot of you are, in this time where you can't just pop into that classroom and do all that. It's great if you could almost put an example together and bring that to your SPED teachers. And it's like, I can do this for you. I can bring in speakers. I can bring in, I can do all of these things and help you with the transition and enhance what you're already teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep it after school. Carol wrote that. That's what's really cool too.
One important thing about that is if they're using a Google email that or account that is owned by the district, is you'd want to make sure to add a personal Gmail account and make them like transfer ownership to that owner. I've done it myself with my own Gmail accounts. It is possible, but it's just an extra little step that has to be taken. Any other questions? So all of this will be up on the website, posted, the video of this, our materials, and we very, very much look forward to seeing you at the next community practice and at regionals. And holler, you know where to find us if you need us.